Greetings, everyone. My name is Luis Molina, and I'm the host of the Life Puro. If you remember from last week's episode, I talked to my good friend Gustavo Martinez, and it was so engaging, and we thought, well, let's make it a part two, if you will, of sorts. So a lot of good content, from the silver tongue man himself. We continue the exploration discussion today. So thanks again, Gus.
Thank you.
So yeah, we're talking about you were talking about Tata last week, or in the first hour, about his medicinal uses, I guess, with tobacco. It reminded me of Greyhawk. Mm-hmm. He had told me a story. He used to work for the state parks in Louisiana, and he was telling me a story. I think he actually talked about it in the first podcast, where he was giving a tour to school children, and one of them got stung by like a wasp or a bee sting or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he actually applied wet tobacco. Like he always, I guess, has tobacco. Mm-hmm. He wet the tobacco and put the tobacco leaf on the sting and like wrapped it. Mm-hmm. What they call I think a poultice is how it's pronounced. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So like you take this almost like a Band-Aid and then you like tighten it with like some string or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he said after an hour, like that sting was healed. Yeah. And I've heard that from old time farmers when their horses get stung by wasps, mm-hmm. If they have tobacco, like pure leaf, mm-hmm. they'll wrap that wound with the tobacco leaf, and it helps I guess gives that benefit.
Yeah, it does. It takes care of a lot of things, man. I mean, from what I've heard too, even cuts and mm-hmm. stuff like that, or that nature and stuff like that. It's a great healer, know, and everything else. I think that's why it's such a important plant in their culture,
But unfortunately, like a lot of people, and again, go back to cigarettes, corrupted that, view it as an evil scourge or mm-hmm. some demonic thing. But think about the first anti-tobacco people was the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah. You were talking about the first hour, Columbus, and when they were gifted tobacco or looked at it, mm-hmm. one of his men, I think I probably talked about it in a previous episode, but I'll bring it up again. Rodrigo de Jerez was like Columbus's right-hand man, and he was credited as being the first European to like really embrace tobacco, and he loved it. And he was from Spain. So when he went back to his village in Spain, he was smoking the tobacco, and all the village people, like his, I guess, locals, they were like in fear. They're like, what the heck is that?
Yeah,
like they thought the smoke coming from his mouth was his soul escaping. And eventually the Spanish Inquisition imprisoned him for like a year.
Really?
Thinking that tobacco was like a tool of the devil.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
always no one ever thinks about the Spanish Inquisition, but
yeah, they
were the first anti-tobacco group.
Yeah. Well, you think about it too, that it's always, you could take anything that's supposed to be good for you, and then you mess with it, and then it becomes really bad for you. I mean, look, when I went to Peru, I had altitude sicknesses everywhere I was going. Freaking guy, old man, just like gave me a bunch of cocaine leaves, and I'm like, the hell is this for? He says, chew it. I was like, this is cocaine. I don't want to. I don't do drugs. He's like, no. It's like, that's the way you bastardize it, but that's not what it's meant for. It's medicinal.
The derivative of cocaine is that coca leaf.
That's coca leaf. So
not to be confused with cocoa.
Yeah, exactly.
Like chocolate.
Yeah, the leaf. So
coca.
So I'm over there chewing on this, and I'm like, holy shit, I feel better.
Instantly, you felt relief.
Like, yeah, it's like put it like this. It was hard for me. I mean, when I was in Cusco, it was really hard for me to the altitude was really fucking with me. I never was really, I didn't know it was gonna be that bad. And I took every stage they told me to do. I did. I wasn't eating anything heavy. I ate soups, very little meat, because for some reason they said it takes longer for your body to digest stuff. So. And I remember I took these leaves, I ate them, and then next thing you know,
did you chew it or eat it?
No, chew it. You just chew it. Chew it. And
does it create saliva?
Yeah, it creates. And then what happens is like the medicine that you're chewing on, it's almost like chewing tobacco. You're chewing in, and you get in the flavor, and that it starts to relieve.
There's a natural absorption through the orifice.
Yeah. So what happens is like man, I'm gonna be honest with you, like altitude is a horrible thing, but
yeah, I'm looking at Cusco just for people who don't know. Yeah. It's a city located in the Peruvian Andes, at an altitude of 11,152 feet above sea level.
And I felt that all 11,000 in my head. I'm going to tell you, I felt like a vice grip was on my head at all times, just squeezing. And the minute I ate this leaf, it's just like instant relief. The headache was gone.
Wow.
The pain was gone. But I got so to the point where it's like, man, I needed it like all the time because I wasn't used to the altitudes. And I was only there for like 2 days. And they say it takes about 3 to 4 days to get acclimated correctly, you know. So I didn't have that long. So I had to depend on the Coca-Cola. Yeah. I was like, give me some more of that stuff, man. I was like, I need it right now.
I need that fix.
Yeah, I need that fix. So I got to that point where I had to do it. And luckily it relieves. And that's what it sounds. I think medicinally, we could bastardize anything. Look what's happened with Coke, you know, and everything else and all that other stuff. So now you think but it's like if we use it for the purpose that it was meant to be, the natural way, I think it's
there could be benefits.
It could be benefits. I mean, we talk about how these old men, how do they live for so long? I mean, that was 103. I mean, come on. It's like, must have been doing something right.
My theory on that is that, and look, there are other factors, right? Like some people are dealt the wrong hand, genetics wise.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have a bad heart, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But for those of us who are blessed with good health, I think if you minimize stress, you can, like, there's a higher probability of extending life.
Right.
And stress can come in all forms, right? Whether it's mental stress, the stress of some radiation that you don't know you're getting bombarded with, work at, you know, like stress from work or family. And that's why I really believe in the purity and the benefits of tobacco is that it outweighs the cost, right? So I'm not going to tell people on, you know, listening or tuning in that smoking cigars, you're going to live longer. Like, no, I don't know that. I might die tomorrow. Who knows? But I derive so much relaxation and like zen. Like that's why I love cigars.
I smoke them a lot because I mean, I own a construction company and it's stressful. I mean, we got deadlines and all kinds of stuff. And when you put the pressure on, I need a relaxation to get away from everything for a minute, you know, and cigars help do that. I mean, they help me.
And you said it, like, not to cut you off, but like, you don't do drugs.
Yeah.
This is like, I tell people, this is like doing a drug without the bad druggy effects.
Without the side. I mean,
well, the bad side effects, right? Like, say if someone unfortunately got on heroin or coke or some other like hard drug or even alcohol where some people abuse it.
Right.
And that's why, like, over the years, I've served a lot of professionals who they can't do those drugs or alcohol, but this doesn't hurt. You can't OD. I've never heard of anyone ODing on cigars or driving drunk.
Right.
You know, so a lot of airline pilots I've served that they can't drink, I think 24 hours before a flight is some FAA rule, which I'm glad. But they can smoke a cigar.
Right.
And so you find that good, responsible release via the cigar.
I really do. I think this is why I continue smoking. It's more about it's relaxation, man. It's kind of like almost like getting a mental massage. And I don't know if I explained it to you, but it really it's soothing. And believe it or not, I smoke more by myself at night than I do. I'll put some music on. It might be jazz it might be opera, who knows, or old Spanish music, because I like the old boleros and stuff like that we listened to back in the days. My dad would listen to the old music, you know, and I'd listen to that kind of stuff. And that with the cigar, it's nostalgic, man. It's my getaway, you know. It's funny, like I have a picture of the keys of the little islands in Honduras. Called Cayos Cochinos. It's a real small little island, but they're little keys, and I keep a picture of it on my phone or in my car. And it's just sometimes when shit's getting really bad, I got to go to that little world to kind of remember, just to kind of put me in that other world mentality. And cigar does that on its own. You know, it really does puts me in a different atmosphere. It changes my environment. That's basically what I'm saying for me, you know. So I can understand why the old men called it spiritual medicine and this and that, because it really does help relax you if you're using it in the right way. If you use it the wrong way, God knows. But, you know, look at cigarettes, what they can do to you.
Yeah, that's the bastard form of tobacco, unfortunately. And look, I'm not saying that you know, I'm not going to lecture someone and say you shouldn't or should do anything, right? That's up to you. That's the beauty of, you know, free will is do what you want as long as you don't adversely affect someone else.
Right.
But you and you alone are responsible for what the outcomes may be. And look, if I die because of cigars, I'll be happy. I'm fine.
Well, yeah, and I tell people that smoke cigarettes, they can't stop.
Right.
I can quit this habit. I just choose not to because I love it so much.
But we could. Like I tell customers all the time, and I'm sure some kind of like,
Yeah, right.
or skeptical. Like, yeah, you're just saying that you got to make that sale. But look, I don't need it. I can stop. I can go on indefinitely. You know, when I traveled with my family to Orlando last month, like I couldn't smoke because I didn't want it around the kids. So I was fine.
Right.
Walked around Disney Park, Disneyland or whatever, Disney World, and
but you
didn't need the cigar. It would have been nice. It'd been nice. I'm not gonna lie, but it wasn't Jones and that typical druggie that scratches their neck.
And I think that's the difference between having it in a natural way and having it in a cigarette form. It's like, I think there's just so many chemicals in it that get you addicted that you need to have it. It's like you got to get that fix. Where in cigars, it's not about the fix. It's about the relaxation. Of,
that's what we look forward to.
Well, yeah, because I mean, in this world, I mean, look, you got to give it to the U.S. and America, man. We workers. We're out there. We're busting our butts every day. A lot of people talk bad, about the U.S., but let me tell you, we're workers, and we get it done. But by getting it done, we need something.
We work hard. We got to we got to relax hard.
Yeah. We need that because if you put your body, like a man that lifts weights really hard and he doesn't know how to relax and recover, then there's no recovery. There's no growth. So I think that to me, the cigar is a big part of my life because of that. Yeah.
Hey Nick, what was the question you had earlier?
So kind of rephrase it. So as someone who doesn't smoke too many cigars, right, and I worked on the podcast, obviously been exposed to it. But tomorrow I'm hanging out with somebody who's really into cigars. So what are the top 5 cigar brands that I should know if I wanted to act like I knew about the cigar industry? You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like the top 5 most reputable, the who you need to know.
So basically, to speak back into the mic, if people couldn't hear Nick, what are the 5 top brands I would suggest to someone starting out?
Y'all were talking earlier about the 90s. There were 2 companies.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So right now, I guess, who are those companies?
Oh, okay. Okay. Like the go-to companies or brands that I would go to. So for me, I don't even look at brands. I look at strength. So what I would recommend to someone just starting out or is curious about cigar smoking, you can give me insight, Gus. Go by strength, right? Because we don't know where your body, your natural tolerance is.
Yeah, you have to
in terms of strength.
Yeah,
because cigars come in all sorts of varying strengths, right? And that's directly correlated to how much nicotine a blend has.
Right.
I always recommend start with the mild.
Yeah, very mild.
Because there are some people who naturally have a high tolerance for nicotine. They can take the strong cigars, but to me, that's not what to me the point is. It's about enjoying whatever that flavor comes from that cigar. So with that in mind, some great mild blends would include like Davidoff, especially their core or white label series. Those are usually mild. The Ashton Cabinet or the Classic, those are good mild cigars. With Honduras, trying to think. What would you? I would think of just go to Oscar.
There's an old one. I mean, you might laugh at me, but there's an old one that I started off with. It started me off. Well, this is when I was real young. I started off with the Macanudo brand. You remember?
Oh yeah, that was like the classic.
Yeah, it's the mildest.
Go-to cigar.
It's very, very mild. It's a very pleasant cigar.
The gateway cigar, we call it.
Yeah, exactly. It's the very first cigar that I really started smoking like naturally, just enjoying.
Yeah. That would be a good one.
I'll be honest with you.
The cafe.
You might say stuff hilarious about the Macanudo, but the Macanudo is when I got me to start getting my palate ready for the next level, I guess, because I look at the smoking cigars as like levels, it's just like lifting weights. You're not going to go there bench press 400 pounds all of a sudden.
Right.
You start off like 10 pounds, 10, 12, 20, 30 pounds, and you just keep going. And I think that's kind of what, like the Connecticut stuff, all that stuff that's Connecticut, that
the shade grown, that blonde looking wrapper,
right. Those are the you smoke those and you start having a pleasant experience with that, and then you start realizing, man, I want something a little bit more deeper, and then you go smoking the Habanos and the other stuff, Corojos and stuff
Maduros,
like that. Exactly.
Right?
And in the end, you're smoking Maduros and strong cigars and everything. But look, even to this day, I don't smoke Maduros until like I'm having like a real good. Like I gotta have a steak,
right?
Like I gotta have something heavy in my stomach to
do like a stronger or maybe more full bodied,
right? Because I'm like I could do one. I mean, don't get me wrong. It depends on the time of the day, but most of the times I have to be belly's got to be full, especially with red meat, for me to have a good Maduro. Most of the times to enjoy it. I'm not saying I can't enjoy a Maduro without an empty stomach, but I grow to that tolerance. I think where Maduro, I got to that point where I could get to there now. But normally, like at first, I remember I had to have some good red meat before I start lighting up a Maduro.
Well, it's like before you came here, we went to have lunch, right?
Yeah.
And we knew we were going to be here for maybe a few hours,
Right.
and both of us didn't have lunch yet.
Yeah.
It's if we're going to be smoking maybe another cigar during this session, I do tell people have a full stomach, because for some reason, I don't know if there is any truth, but I found in my experience that having the full stomach
helps.
Yeah, it can help you tolerate maybe a cigar that might be too strong for you.
Right.
Another tip is, if you are finding yourself getting a little nauseous, have some dark chocolate by your side. Pop that, and that helps neutralize. I think something about the alkaloids in cocoa help counteract the overdosing of nicotine, essentially.
Right. Well, it depends on too what you're eating too. I mean, you can eat. Hope if you're not eating a salad, I mean, this is
right. You want something filling or not? Yeah.
I mean,
but to Nick's question about what 5 brands today would I recommend to a beginner or someone just curious, Davidoff. But that's a more luxury cigar. So if you don't want to spend the money on that, go to like their lesser expensive lines like Avo or Camacho, and all in the shade groans, like we call the Connecticut's.
Right.
Perdomo does a good one.
Yeah.
Lot 23 is not expensive. Do the shade grown there. But yeah, the Macanudo Cafe was like a classic. Fuente, people talk about Arturo Fuente.
Yeah.
Maybe try their 858.
Sure.
And that's a little bit darker, but because their natural is a Cameroon wrapper, so that's going to have like a sweet woodsy tone, but still mild.
Yeah.
But they also have shade groans. Ashton, I mentioned.
To me, look, that leaf, the Connecticut leaf is very soft.
The leaf by Oscar,
yeah,
Connecticut.
that one's really good. And the other one that he has,
that's a little bit more body, but it's still, I think, one I would be comfortable recommending as a beginner.
Yeah, it's just soft. I say it's soft because I've been smoking for a while now, but I mean, it's a very mild.
People also talk about Romeo and Juliet or Romeo y Julieta.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
The Reserva Real, that's a classic. Mild, light shade wrapper. Yeah. Oliva does a good one.
You said Camacho, right?
I did say Camacho, yep. That's another Honduran origin.
Yeah, that's good.
Gran Habano. Gran Habano's another great Honduran origin. They have the Connecticut in their green box. So, yeah, those would be some examples. Hopefully that clarifies some of that question.
And to tell you, like, Nick, you gotta, I think after a while you'll know what your tolerance is gonna be. You're gonna smoke. I like I said, you start off with something mild. Like that's how I gradually got into the darker smokes. I started with mild, and then it started gradually, going up levels.
Yeah.
And I think that my body was like, acclimated now to even having smoked the strongest ones. But that it's weird too now that I'm getting older in age. Like
you want more refined.
Yeah,
that's I think the natural cycle of a cigar smoker's journey.
Yeah,
it's like when we're young, especially if you start smoking when you're young, we always want that tough, like full-bodied
strength.
Yeah, just knock you in the mouth kind of blend.
All about power and speed.
But that's the folly of youth, right?
Yeah.
Especially men, like we got to show off and assert our relevance.
Yeah, we need those cigars that are like Mustangs and wild horses and stuff like that. And then afterwards, we get older, we're like, I just want something softer and calmer,
more refined.
Yes, and you have a bunch of kids screaming at you all day. You're like, you know what? I think I need something a little bit more therapeutic.
I'm already getting kicked, in the A by my family or work. I don't need a cigar to do that. I need something a little bit more refined and soft, like you said.
Yeah. I think that's I would do that. I would start off with probably for me those 5, man. But my top 5 they're gone now. I mean, most of them are.
Yeah, what would your top 5 of all time be?
Actually,
you've discussed Excalibur
or
Monterey.
Number one's always the Excalibur.
Puros Indios?
Yeah, Puro Indios number 2. Yeah. Definitely, like I say, the Excalibur was number 1 to me. Out of my favorites. Then the Puro Indio was the second one for me. That was when I'm talking about the Puro Indio, the Rolando Reyes times.
Yeah.
And then,
because now Oliva bought the brand. I don't think they did anything with that brand yet. They started out with their other sister brand called Cuba Aliados.
Yeah.
But it's different. Now it's,
Well, actually, to tell you the truth, the more newer one that I actually...
It's not bad. It's just it didn't smell like the old school.
The one that I fell in love with, the cigar that I fell in love with too, my third favorite one was probably the I'm trying to remember You remember Maya?
Oh yeah, Maya Selva.
Maya Selva. She had the
Flor de Selva.
Flor de Selva, bro.
Yeah.
Flor de Selva for me.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Man, let me tell you something. When I smoked that cigar, I think it's very hard because when I smoked that cigar, I had this thing where I don't get wild that oftenly. I really don't.
Yeah.
There's two cigars that recently had wowed me, whereas that one and the Oscar from the one he had to Habana, those two were like, wow, like, are you serious? Like, to me, those were like, wow, this is a great cigar.
Yeah.
That one, and let me tell you something. This one that you gave me is getting there, brother. Let me tell you, this is a very, very, very good smoke. I mean, I just can't believe how great this cigar is.
And what were you talking about off air before we came on for this segment? What were you talking about with that in terms of the relight?
Oh, okay. So, we were talking so much that it went out, and I was like, shit, and I don't know if it's because, the wind's blowing in this thing and everything else, but, and normally when you relight a cigar, it gets real bitter and everything. Well, we lit this sucker up, this Oscar, and it's smoking just like it. I mean, dude, I'm about to burn my finger pretty soon, and I'm still smoking it. I mean, and I could tell you that's how I don't normally,
judgment on cigars.
I judge my cigars by how long and how far they can smoke until they get unpleasant in a sense for me when I know it's time to let it go. The first quarter stick is the honeymoon stage, right? It's everybody knows it's going to be good in the first. It's
always good.
It's always got to be good in the beginning. It's that middle. It's like a love relationship. The beginning's always pretty. It's always the honeymoon. After the honeymoon's over, you really know if you got the love of your life or you don't. And as you get to that quarter stick, you start to realize maybe this girl wasn't meant for me. You know what I'm saying?
That's
how
a real make or break, huh?
Right. And with me, like a good cigar will go all the way down to the end. And this is like the ones that are going to be like this one here, the one I'm smoking right now. What was this Oscar? What's the anniversary?
It's the Leaf by Oscar, but it's their 10th anniversary blend. Okay. And it's a Criollo strain. Mm-hmm. So they have 4 others before that. The Connecticut version, which is a light blonde wrapper, creamy, minerally. The second one, the Sumatra, which is one of my personal favorites, that tends to have a very good balance of flavor.
Sumatras.
Almost like coffee, almond, cream is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
Number 3, the Corojo, it's going to have more of a leathery forward note. And the Maduro is going to have that kind of oaky, sweet, toasty molasses profile. But this is the Criollo, and that is pretty complex. Like, to me, it's like it smokes like the Sumatra, but with a little bit more dimension.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, that's how I'm trying to. Yeah, you're perfect. I'm a
nerd.
No, it's perfect. Exactly what you said. I was like, I didn't know how to describe it, and I have to tell you it kind of every time like I sit there and go, there are times where I go, I'm gonna quit. And then Oscar comes up with no. I'm just saying. I say to myself, this is it's just the bank. The bank in me is going, you need to stop spending so much money on cigars. And then I go, Oscar comes up with another one. I'm like, damn you, Oscar. He did it to me again.
Look, you bring up a very valid and ubiquitous situation in our stores. We have people that fall in love with cigars, but then it is a luxury item, right?
Right.
They realize like they start budgeting and they look at their expense or expenditure on the cigar.
Yeah, with this economy, of course.
And it's like, and they're like, oh man, I got to quit. Like I got to cut back. Right. And look, part of me, like the greedy businessman in me is like, no, you don't need to do that.
Don't do that, please.
But no, like I don't really care because I just want our customers, whether they spend on the $2 cigar or the $200 cigar, I want each person who comes in here to feel like they weren't swindled, that we didn't give them the used car salesman's pitch. But what I recommend, if you decide to cut back, you can always shift your price point downwards.
Yeah, I can't do that.
But there are some good cigars.
No,
in the $3 to $4 range. You don't have to spend 10 or 15.
You're right. I just find that there's.
But sometimes you pay that premium for that quality.
This is it always reminds me of this one thing that this one girl told me. She's like, I said, man, you get a lot of guys that do this and do that for you. She says, because I'm worth it. And that's,
Oh, no.
and I sit there and I'm like, and that's how I feel about cigars. Like, sometimes, you can get a cheap one. Don't get me wrong. And it's still probably, but it's not going to do what this one does, She's,
Yeah.
I mean, I like this Oscar, man. This is the kind of, like, if this is a woman, this is the one that cooks for you, cleans for you, massages your back, rubs your feet. This is that kind of cigar. And how do you let go of that? You just don't. You can't. This is.
You heard that, Oscar? I think you owe this man a box of cigars.
No, I love you, Oscar, but you making me. You never stop. And that's a great thing. But the issue is like, yeah, man. You really, and I think that's kind of why I continue smoking. I'm always. I need that for myself. I need that one. Yeah, like they always say, hey, you have to have your gym membership to work out, lift weights, so you can stay healthy. With this, I need it for my sanity.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really need it for my sanity. It's like
I've told people investing in a cigar is really, if you want to deconstruct it, investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Investing in time
Right.
to recharge and to kind of help with that meditative
because I feel like
step.
I'll be honest with you. When I tell the new kids nowadays, they're like, because they always ask me, it's like, I see you, like my nephews, they're like, Uncle Gus, you're always smoking cigars, and it's like, I said, you know what it is? I said, look at your Android or your iPhone, whatever. When that battery's drained, what do? You recharge it. Well, this is what I need to recharge my life, my friend. I said, you haven't got to that stage yet. You don't have to deal. You don't have to deal with the stuff that I have to deal with on a daily basis. So I need that kind of, that extra pick me up, that strength, for me to go through the day or the end of the night, or so I could just say, hey, now I could go to bed after I had that nice smoke. I could just go take, close my eyes and forget about
man,
the stuff. It puts me, and look, like I said, I always say to myself, the only thing that makes me sometimes, it's because, like I said, the economy goes up and down, and that's about the only thing. It's not because I don't love it.
But you can shift pricing downward. So people might ask, well, what cigar can I smoke that you would recommend if times are tough? For me, like one of the number one is the Perdomo Fresco.
Yeah,
that's their bundled cigar.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like very good value.
The Plan B, brother. Too.
Plan B is a good one from Oscar. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Even though it's a little, I'll admit it's a little cruder, but like the flavor's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Another one is Flor de Oliva.
Flor de Oliva is good.
But they're either Corojo or Maduro, because to me the natural is just like thin. You could tell like the wrapper's lesser quality.
Right.
But better value for me is their Corojo and Maduros because they're thicker leaf, I guess, and hold up. So again, people don't like. I know people probably be cynical and be like, "Oh, you're just still trying to make sure you're making that sale." Like I'm fine. Like we have enough people, fortunately, that help us, with our business.
Yeah, this is nothing. This is nothing that's going anywhere. I noticed one thing: tobacco and alcohol is just something that's just going to be in our lives for like a long, long time. Yeah,
it's resistant to
bad economies. Yeah, it really is. I tell people all the time. I say, but you think about even in the Great Depression, man, bars were the one thing that were, still going on strong.
Or at least speakeasies during the years when it was illegal, but people still consume their alcohol.
They still smoke.
But for me, better, tobacco.
Yeah, I mean, this is old industry, brother. Friend.
People forget tobacco is what built this country.
Yeah.
And no matter whether you hate tobacco or love it, you can't fight the history. You can't rewrite it. Tobacco built the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
And it's what actually made, I think, Jamestown, the colony, successful because they almost collapsed trying to figure out what cash crop is going to help, the company make the village or the colony survive.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until they used, John Rolfe, if you know American history, they used tobacco and it saved them.
Yeah. It will, when you find that right crop, I guess that right itch or something, a niche.
Dude, empires have fought for tobacco. The Dutch were merchants of tobacco. Think about Dutch masters, the Spanish, the English. They all fought for the Americas, right? Because of the resources it had.
Right, exactly.
One of them of which was tobacco.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you brought up your time in Peru. I've always wanted to go there. To me, it's a mystical country, right?
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's in terms of like commodities, though. To me, I think there's some scientists or people in the academic world that theorize the origins of tobacco come from Peru.
Yeah.
As well as other nightshade crops like the potato and tomato.
Yeah,
Supposedly
I know
came
the
from Peru.
potatoes are one thing. I know crop is also tobacco. Now, I did go visit the valley where supposedly that the tobacco was first born. That's what they say.
Right.
But you got to remember, tobacco's been used from
Over 10,000 years.
Yeah, so it's very hard to pinpoint it. You could say, because you got to remember, we were talking about that. Columbus went to the Mesoamericas. Tobacco was in Central America.
Oh, it's in the Caribbean. That's where the first. Yeah,
I mean,
all
I
over
think,
the New World.
Yeah, it's kind of like it was just a plant that was it's like like you trying to do the history on certain things. I mean, like you say, like a mango tree. Mango tree's been from Asia to Central South America. So I mean, who knows? But I tell you, it's it's important. I think it's important. I guess we're trying to figure out where it's from. But it's like, they've all been smoking it. I mean, hell, the Mayans were there. They smoked it.
Yep. Nick from Foundation Cigar, he just released a line last year called the Olmec, which is a tribute to, like, I think the pre-Mayan or pre-Aztec people.
Right.
And he says that they were one of the first people, if not the first groups, to use tobacco, which I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm sure there's validity to that, but, like, supposedly the tobacco plant originated from Peru. So, yeah, to your point of all these ancient Native Americans using it.
Trust me, when it comes to tobacco, I'm pretty sure everybody wants the origins of that.
I know. They want that
plant.
claim. Yeah.
Who knows? Like, I can't say yay or nay because I don't know that much history. I know it's been in the Americas forever. And you got to remember, I don't know if tobacco was, if I just off what I know, I mean, I think, also the tobacco was in Central America even before Peru. But that's what I think.
I'm not trying to say that.
Because you got to remember, Pizarro was the one that wasn't
Pizarro
South America was
Peru.
the last, right? So he was the last. Now you got to remember where was the first? It was Mexico. It was what, Cuba, Cortez, and all that. But there was all. But I know Central America was always one of the. It's been a long standing for tobacco. It's been. I mean, their stuff plants they've been growing for generations, and we don't know how old they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like I said, we will find out. But as we find out, we'll just keep smoking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and if we don't discover, that's okay. We're enjoying.
I'm fine with that. I mean, hey, if they say it's from Peru, it's a beautiful country, though, man. It's
I want to ask you, what you went to Machu Picchu? Can you give me some background to that?
Yeah. So
how did you get there?
I went. I decided. My mother's getting old, so I wanted to take her somewhere. She always wanted to go, so we wanted to go see Machu Picchu. She always wanted to see Machu Picchu. It's one of the. I always made these lists of places I always wanted to go, like the bucket list before. You got to go before that. So Machu Picchu was like always number one in everything, and I just I was amazed, man. I tell you about Peru. The people were so friendly. Now, it is a country like at least in Honduras, I could say. If you don't know Spanish, there's a lot of English speakers in Honduras, so you don't have to worry about that so much. But man, Peru, brother, if you don't know English, I mean, if you don't know Spanish, you're screwed. I mean, unless you're going on a tour, I mean, everything connected to touring, and I don't think you really know. You can't really. And on tours, you really don't really get to grasp of the people. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that people like. You don't. I think you need to learn the languages. I mean, hell, when I was in Peru, there were people that I've met a lot of people that were like Incan descent and stuff like that, and all these other so many different languages. There was another language that they were speaking. It was called, I think it was Quechua or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember, but it was another language, and that was the first time I heard that language. It was actually their native tongue. And they
it sounded different, huh?
Yeah, it sounded different, but they're funny, man. They're funny people. You can still tell that they're bitter towards the Spanish, because
really?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they showed me this wall that the Incas built, and it's crazy, man. Like they use no mortar, they just use fitted brick blocks and stuff like that. No mortar, blah blah blah. You can't even stick like a card in there. You can't even put like a playing cards for playing poker. So you can't even fit
that like
thin.
embedded.
Yeah, it's that embedded into it. Then they show you the ones that the Spanish built, and it's all like it's great,
gaps.
but it's not gaps and everything else. And this little, I never forgot this little Indian kid told me, he says, estas paredes, this wall, estaba hecho, he said, de los capaces. And I said, which is us. He said, the people that are capable. And then this is the wall that was made from los incapaces, which was, people that can't do it right, which he was talking about the Spanish. I was like, damn, that's kind of cold, bro. Yeah. I was like, damn, man, that's kind of mean. They were like, so you could tell that they're always throwing a little jab at the Spanish. Yeah. They still got a bitterness against, being conquered by them for so long, and I get that. As part, having a little Spanish blood in me, I understand their grief, but it is what it is, But yeah, man, it was an amazing country. It's a
culinary destination in South America, huh?
Geez.
Peru.
Dude, let me tell you.
What was that one place you went to that it was like on the beach or something?
Mm-hmm. So I had look, the internet helps you with a lot of stuff, but the problem is that you have to be careful too, like what people say. Like, I remember I really wanted to go to this restaurant, and I went to it, and talked to this taxi guy, and it's like, and I wanted to go because I remember it was like, and it was this old Chinese guy, Mr. Javier Wong. I went to go eat there, and it was good. It was good. It was very good ceviche. But he was like, and I told him, I said, man, this place was really good. Because the guy that was actually helping me tour the place was actually a taxi driver.
Okay.
I made friends with him, and he was just showing me around. Gave him a little money. He was just like, man, I'll take you here, I'll take you wherever, you and your mother. And he's like, yeah, that place is okay. That's what he told me. And I was like, man, I just thought I had one of the greatest meals I ever had. But at the same time, you got to remember, Anthony Bourdain bragged about it. Everybody else was like, this is the place to go. So I'm just like, niggas, this is not where we go eat. I'm like, well, shit, you take me where you go eat at. So he took me to this place called Ocho Rios or something. It's far away from Lima. It's not far, but it's it's a little drive. And this place was like, I swear, like when I looked at the place, I was like, holy shit, this place is a shack. I mean, it's like
it's not very
presentation. Yeah. It's like I'm sitting there going, I don't know about this place, like, and I was like, oh great, beautiful plastic chairs, plastic table, sitting there going, no, this is where we eat. He said even the high rollers come in there, it's like, yeah, whatever.
The high rollers in the know, huh?
Well, dude, let me tell you, when I was there was a group of Peruvians there that were cycling, and because Peru, they're real big into bike riding and all that stuff. And man, as a group of these guys that were there eating, and they stopped, they were all riding their bikes there, and they rode their bikes in there. And I look at the watches, Rolexes, Tag, expensive ass fucking watches. So I'm like, these guys can eat anywhere they want. And I said, and they're eating here. So that's a good sign, So let's see what this is about. And now comes this old man, Don Chichi,
Don Chichi?
Yeah, I never forgot him, man. He's got like two missing, like the teeth in the middle gone, and got sweet man, real sweet guy. He was like, I'm gonna show you how to eat. You're never gonna try nothing like this before. So I was like, So I was like, I'm very like, all right, whatever, we'll see. Brings in these dishes, and so he's basically a fishmonger, and he have this thing where he did fish, and then sometimes the fish still be flapping by the time he gets to his restaurant. I mean, that's fresh, brother. And I'll tell you something, it makes a difference. And they would catch the fish at night, and in the morning they bring it to Don Chichi, and he'd start cooking. And
so what was the dish that? Man, was it ceviche?
Yeah. So first thing he gave us is a bunch of ceviches. The first thing I had that he made was a ceviche called leche de tigre, which is a dish that's made. It's like tiger's milk, what they call it.
Yeah, literally translated.
It's basically like he actually showed me. Like I actually got to the back of the kitchen. He showed me. I mean, he just like he was. I was like, "You're not afraid of me opening another restaurant?" He said, "You're never gonna be able to do this." And I said, "What you mean?" He said, "Where do you live at?" I said, "New Orleans." He said, "Yeah, you don't get the same dishes that I do, and you don't get the same things that I do."
Same ingredients. Yeah.
He said, "You can copy all you want, but it's not gonna be this."
Yeah.
I'm like, dang. I said, all right. I said, that's fine. So I went there. The first thing he gave me was a leche de tigre, and I was wild. I was like, holy crap.
So what is that?
So it's
a fish stew or something?
No. Leche de tigre is a ceviche. It's a ceviche.
Oh, okay.
So it's a ceviche, and basically what they do is they get they use ginger. They use this like a seafood stock. They mix it with a little bit of seafood stock, and they use a chile called ají.
Ají?
Yeah,
okay.
It's a yellow ají that he used. They have a red one and a yellow one,
okay.
And he make this thing, and then next thing you know, he put it's not a it's I think y'all call it coriander. It's culantro, what we call it in Spanish. It's like
cilantro.
Yeah, it's like the Asian version of cilantro, because you got to remember Peru was they have a lot of Asian influence, so it's like it's almost like a fusion between Latin and Asian. That's
Cuisine,
the beauty
yeah.
about two different cultures when they get together and they make food.
Yeah.
That's what Peru is, and it's like Asia and Latin meets together, and the food that they make was incredible, man. And I had that. That was the first thing. It was just like it was a ceviche. The second one was another ceviche that he had me made with the red ají, which was very good too. The third one was incredible too. It was called leche de pantera. It was like so basically
Panther milk.
Yeah. They call it like this, but it's all they're all made with broths and everything. But but they're all ceviches made with broth. This one actually had like clams, and because you put it in the clams, you know how clams have the dark shell. Instead of it like so, leche tigre, it looks like reddish, pinkish kind of like it looks like blood a little bit, but it's not. And they mix it with a little bit of milk. But what happens is it looks like a bloody kind of thing. It's like that's to them what it looks like a tiger's milk. But when you drink it, they call it tiger's milk because it's like poof, it's like pow. It's like it's flavorful. It hits you in every kind of like it wows you. And then the panther's milk, they call it that because it's a black like juice. So they
derived from the clams.
So instead of being tiger's milk, it's panther, because panthers are normally black. Yeah. So they call it that. And then the third thing he brought up was this thing. It sounds kind of gross when you eat it. Well, no, it sounds gross by the name, but it's not. It's just a steamed fish in a broth and everything else. There's this one dish called pescado sudado, which is sweaty fish. Yeah. But it's just steamed fish in its own stew, which is very good. When we had that dish, man, oh my God, that was it, huh? That was it. I was like, holy crap, what is this? And like I wanted to grab the whole pot and just swallow it, but my mother was in front of me, And it was just like when my mother eats them. My mother's a very, very picky person to eat. She's very hard to please too. And my mother, there's not one dish that she would not eat in Peru. She was just like, we were constantly like, whatever they threw at her,
she was like, no.
Yeah, but in Peru, she ate everything. And that's so if Peru can have my mother, which is a very picky eater, make her love every dish. That's how I could tell you, man. That place was phenomenal. Plus the history there. Oh my God, so much history. It's beautiful. I mean, Cusco is beautiful. Lima's beautiful.
And Lima has that Spanish influence, right?
Yeah,
architecture.
It's a it's a weird. It's very. I don't know, man. It has an old world feel to it, and the church. I remember the church that I went to. I never forgot. It was in I think it was in Comida Flores. I'm not sure, but there's a church there that they have a crypt, like where they had all the dead bodies from the
crypt,
from the plagues and stuff like that, and they burned these bodies, and they got as you're walking in the church, they had like all these burnt bodies like on the bottom of the church, and you could actually see it in the cages, like you were like on the floor. There's like a cage, and you walk over the cage, and you can see the dead bodies underneath the church. It was crazy, man. It was just like, but it's so much culture, so much. I mean, there's so much stuff to do there, and I tell people all the time, if you get a chance, go, because it's such a beautiful country. It will wow you in every little aspect.
Mystical, from what I gather.
Yeah, and it's not expensive, man. It's very, very cheap. And now, if you go,
the flight,
no, not even the flight. I think cost from New Orleans round trip was $500.
What month did you go? Was it in the spring or?
Yeah, I think so.
May or
no? I think it was in
April.
Yeah, something. I think I gotta ask my mother. I don't remember what we.
Because I heard there's like a time where you should really go to visit Machu Picchu. Outside of that, it's like a rainy season or something.
Well, you can't go.
They close it. They close it.
The only time you can't go, I think it's in January or February.
Oh, okay.
Because they close it for 1 month, then so you got to make sure. But the one thing I can tell you about Machu Picchu is that you have to get your ticket ahead, and because they only like set so many people go.
Oh.
What we did was we took this train, this beautiful train, over there called I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's a train. It's in the UNESCO World Heritage Fund. It's one of the oldest train. The Brigham. No, not the. What's the name of it? I forget the name of it. But now this train's got like these like this.
The Hiram Bingham.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm looking at Google.
Yeah, and so we went in that train and let me tell you something. Hey, if you're going to Machu Picchu, that's the way to go. Because I tell people all the time, first of all, with the train ticket, let's just say you don't get a train ticket, because it's expensive. I'm not lying. I think it's like, the train ticket was like $5 a person.
What? 500?
Jeez. Yeah, it's not cheap. But I wanted to go because I'm a train whore. I mean, I loved old trains and stuff like that. But since I was a little kid, choo-choo, I had train sets everywhere,
Yeah.
But
so for train buffs, you got to take the Hiram Bingham.
Yeah, and if you can take it back, but if at least take it going there.
Oh, okay.
Because the experience going there, there's a difference. Like I took the train going there, but I took the cheap one coming back, and let me tell you something. It's like the train coming back was just like, ugh, it's like it was a bad, but it was like, I didn't even have bathroom. The Hiram Bingham had bathrooms inside, so because it's like about a 3-hour trip or something. So if you got to go, you got to wait to the train stops, because it stops at another little town and it'll let you use the bathroom. But in the Brigham, you can use the bathroom in there and everything else. Plus,
they don't stop, huh?
Plus, it's like they give you this like, man, it's got a bar, and let me tell you something. That's when I first found out about the drink that I told you about, the
Pisco sour.
Pisco sour.
Yeah.
And when I drank the first one, I was like, oh, this is so good. And he's like, they're unlimited. I'm like, what? Unlimited?
Oh, man.
My mom was pretty upset at me, because by the time I got to like Machu Picchu, I was already lit, brother. I was like, oh.
So what is a pisco sour?
A pisco sour is it's a fermented grape drink that they have, and it
like
almost
a
looks
grape
like
brandy or something?
Yeah, it looks almost like a tequila because it's clear, right?
Okay.
But it's the way they fermented the grape or something like that, and it comes from a little region in Peru, and basically to make a pisco sour, all they use is a simple syrup, a lime, and the pisco,
and the egg white,
and then the egg white, and then they put like ice in it, and they shake it up, and it causes that foam. And then
because the egg white,
right? Because you're beating
foam.
You're beating the white egg whites in. You're beating the egg whites to it, and then it causes frosty meringue on top of it. Which you had it before, and you were like, "Oh my god, this is so good." Yeah. I said, "Let me tell you, brother, this is my summer drink now." It's really good. It's a very good drink.
What Peruvian restaurant we go to in New Orleans on Magazine Street?
Oh, Tito's.
And they do a pretty good.
They do a really good. They do a pretty good everything. I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, that's probably one of the best ones I've ever had, other than
outside of Peru.
Outside of Peru, yeah, because I've been to different places, and the only problem is, like, you got to remember that they have different exotic fishes, so you're trying to copy like the same dishes with the ones that are from Louisiana, which are great. Don't get me wrong. I think we have some of the best seafood in the United States. But Peru, man, they have some
different species, right? Yeah, so they have their own local traits.
But their flounder is completely different. Their sea bass is incredible. All their fishes are great, and it's just different, So and then it's fresh. So and I think you really, if you don't like seafood, Peru's not the place for you. But I mean, they got meat dishes too. Don't get me wrong. But that was really wild. I mean, they had some great dishes, and the thing about it too is, like, they're very pro-tobacco people too, which is very. I mean, you saw the old men smoking. You know, they had their little cigars and they would smoke, and they smoke at the parks, and it was nice.
Bringing a tear to my eye.
Yeah, dude, it was very nice. It was very. You could tell that tobacco is big over there too.
Yeah, it's part of their identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there aren't really any Peruvian cigars available in the U.S. market, but there are blends that incorporate Peruvian tobacco as part of their blend,
right?
As part of their anatomy. I know Altadis was big on some of their brands using Peruvian tobacco, and I got to look that up. So while you're talking, I'll look that up.
Yeah, but in Peru, like, I had a cigar from Peru. It wasn't like it didn't wow me or anything. It was great, but it wasn't like anything that was like.
Down there it's probably going to be 100% Peruvian tobacco.
I think it's because of the humidity or something. I don't know what it is about the cigar over there. It's just like maybe it's just not a. Look, I'm just saying maybe they just don't know how to cultivate. I don't know, not cultivate it, but maybe how the way we make it here. And how they make the tobacco, how they're making it. Maybe that's all it is. I don't know. But you got to remember too, in the Incas, they also mostly use the tobacco for spiritual purposes and stuff like that. So same thing. It's a ritual. They use it for different purposes. So their stoves are like really fat and just like double sized Gordo kind of things. Like, good Lord, like is that a branch or is that a tobacco leaf? What is that? So it's pretty big, but. Yeah, man, they're but they have like they have shops where they're cigar shops there too that are got good cigars, but they're not only like all Peruvian, they're all like Honduran or they're Cuban, big Cuban places stuff like that. So
there are a lot of places in Latin America, Central, South America that grow tobacco, but you might not really find that available in the U.S. market, for U.S. consumers. Mm-hmm. But when you go down to those countries, a lot of the locals will kind of roll their own from locally sourced or whether it's their backyard or what have you.
Right.
But it's all like 100% whatever, single origin, like in their spot.
Right.
And some of them I'm sure are good, but like they just don't have the knowledge or the wherewithal, like the old Cuban families that know how to, they're the masters of tobacco, right? As well as the Dutch. A lot of people don't realize a lot of these factories right now employ Dutch and other European agronomists and people who know how to work the tobacco. Mm-hmm. So my point is, like, a lot of these.
Well, just because you grow it, that doesn't mean you know
how to process it.
Well, it's how many times have we been to a steakhouse and people say, "Hey, I like the way you do steak better than this place," or whatever. It's not always, It's
what did Joey always say? The best chef knows.
Restraint.
They can take, the restraint, right? But like the best chef knows how to work with whatever ingredients he has, even as like inferior quality.
Right.
But it doesn't mean just because you're using awesome ingredients, if you don't know like the techniques of how to prepare it right, it might not be a great dish.
Well, look at coffee. You have coffee, and although like, you have to say, I have to give respect where respect is due. You say, hey, you have great cups of coffee and this and that, but who knows how to roast them the best? Honestly, to me, the Italians, I mean,
but that's our preference.
That's exactly. I'm more of an espresso person and by heart. But you think about it, you're like, why is it that every freaking bean that comes out of Italy is made? They don't grow coffee. You know that they can't grow coffee in their climate, and yet, man, the coffee in that you get from Italy is just wow. It's like so much better. I mean, the crema that comes out of it's just incredible. So it's just like, so there you go. There's a product there that look, Latin America's been growing it for a while, but the Italians, they mastered how to cook it well, and I think
they know how to roast it. They know how to source it.
So I'm wondering,
they know how to blend it.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if Peru ever brought some Cubans in to show them how to roll it.
Oh yeah.
How good?
How to ferment it?
Because they have a microclimate. They got so many climates in there. I'm pretty sure one of them does well with tobacco.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if they brought the right people to know how to make a tobacco. Maybe then Peru can have their own tobacco blend that's going to be great. You know what I'm saying?
So for people interested in maybe trying Peruvian tobacco, you can find it, according to this article, in the CAO Italia. Mm-hmm. I guess they use Peruvian as a component of the filler, and the H. Upmann Vintage.
That's a pretty good one too.
Yeah, I like that vintage.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that had a.
Altus really used. I don't know if it's still relevant today, but I know at one point a lot of their blends or brands would have like Peruvian as part of the filler.
But there you go. So you never know. I mean, but look, honestly too, like now I find that you rarely find all Honduran, all Nicaraguan, all this, all that. Now the blends are becoming this thing.
Multi-origin.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Italians, right? With coffee.
Coffee, exactly.
They don't just source like one country or one lot.
Yeah. Because, I mean, look, if you want to be, this coffee is from Guatemala or this coffee is from Honduras. And it's like, but, I find that, like, I remember one time I was talking to somebody, he told me that that the coffee that was coming from this part of Italy was Honduran, Venezuelan, which was shocking. I didn't even know
Yeah, who would think,
Venezuela.
Venezuelan coffee.
And Ethiopia.
That's a powerhouse, apparently.
And I was like, this is great. This is incredible coffee. And I was just like, and you would never think, and that's what and then you guys said you have to get the ratios right, though. And there's a lot of trial and error. People don't want to go through all that,
Yeah.
So look, when we're smoking a cigar, we're how many times probably the tobacco companies said, let's try this with that. And then they tried and they're like, oh, this is not that good.
Yeah. But maybe all it takes is one change like one little leaf.
Exactly.
Whether they add something else or
take it out.
take out.
Yeah. And then they go, hey, now we got something. So you gotta respect the people that are pioneering this stuff because they're actually taking the time where we don't have the time to do all this.
Yeah.
We're enjoying the aftertaste of the hard work. There's the farmer, the guy that's cultivating, the guy that's rolling, the experimental guy, and that's why I go back to Oscar.
I always say the blenders are the unsung heroes.
That's why I got to give Oscar because, I know I keep talking about it, but the man, he just he knows from every aspect, from the farming to the growing to the now to selling it, and it's like I sit there and go, man, the guy, you pick somebody's brain, the knowledge that the guy has on certain things, and he didn't grow that by overnight. That grew by passion and by years of experience, and
he used to work. I guess he was like an understudy to Rocky Patel, so he had experience in the industry before he went on his own, which I guess would be over 10 years now.
Yeah. That's another good brand too, Rocky.
Oh Patel. Yeah, classic. Yeah, a lot of his stuff is out of Honduras via the Plasencia.
Yeah, Alex Bradley's another one great one too.
Oh yeah, they do a lot of Honduras. Yeah. In fact, I just created. That's why I was late to meet you to lunch. I was creating the this year's vintage of the Alec Bradley Fine and Rare. And for people who don't know, the Fine and Rare from Alec Bradley is like the Opus X for Alec Bradley. It's like their top end annual one-time release. It's like an allocated product. I think it's allocated. I mean, it's very limited, but a lot of their components, I was looking at their blend, and usually the fine and rares are very complex, usually using 10 leaves.
Wow.
On average, most cigars have like 5 components.
Wow.
But the fine and rare has usually like around 10. And a lot of it's from Trojes, Honduras. I don't know if you know that region.
I know the region, yeah.
And it's very Honduran forward in terms of the blend. There's some Nicaraguan, I believe, too. So I mean, to your point, like Honduras is, even though Nicaragua gets all the focus and the ratings and the love,
well, it's the
people
new,
forget
it's the new pretty girl in the block. That's all it is. I tell people all the time, people, everybody's all pro Nicaraguan right now, but the thing is, like, I just like I smoked that Oscar just now. I mean, that's the girl that, for me, she's been cooking my.
She's the
long-term relationship,
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's I think it's a. It's a funny thing. I think as we get older, I think we like to have things that we know that it's not that we I think we like flavors that we know. Like take for instance, I never forgot this. It was like a quick little story, but I took my father to this real expensive restaurant. He's getting older, and he's an old man, and he's just like, I think we were at Andrea's restaurant, an Italian restaurant, beautiful, great Italian restaurant.
Yeah. I think they closed. Didn't they? They sold out. To
he sold it. Yeah, sold it. And I remember he was like, I took him there for his birthday, and I never forgot. And he was so old at that time. He was kind of losing his, and he was like, and I said, "Puppy, what do you want?" He's like, "Rice and beans and tortillas." And I'm like, "They don't serve that in North Italy, Puppy. Sorry." And he was like, "Huh?" And I was like. And it's just, and it goes to tell you that after a while,
take the man out of Honduras.
Yeah, but it's like I think it's
comfort food,
right? I think it's just something that we know. So why do I smoke a lot of Hondurans? It's because it's what I know. It's what gives me my comfort. Look, I have smoked some Nicaraguan cigars that I've been like, wow, this is a great cigar, very good smoke. Don't have, like I said, I have nothing, and I've had some great Cubans. When we went to Spain, I had some great Cuban cigars, but it's just one of those things where it's just like. I know what I'm going to get with this girl, so I'm going to go smoke her. And then, after that, it's like, it's what I know. I tell people, I bring in comfort because it's like a lot of those flavors, it's what I expect from what I want in a cigar, I guess. And so you know, it's like people that are like name brand, you know, coffee guys. You know, like I want this because this I know what I'm going to get with this brand or that brand.
That's why branding is so important for any retail good or even service. Especially once a brand has a particular reputation,
Right.
there's comfort, right? For the consumer. Like, hey, I know that I can confide in brand X. You know, they're not going to mess around, so I'll stick with them.